Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. So I did something, and I need to know if it was the right thing to do or not. I'll try to keep it as short as possible, so bear with me. A few days ago, I flew back home from Greece alone, even though it was supposed to be a trip with my mom and sister. So, for context, I don't really have a good relationship with either of them. I'm 26. My sister is 3 years younger, and growing up, she and my mother were always on one team. My dad was not that biased, but my mother was blatantly biased towards my sister. They are literally the same. So I guess it was not that surprising, but still it made me feel very left out. Anyway, with time I got over it. And after my father passed away a couple of years ago, we only get together maybe a handful of times a year on the holidays as a formality. But apart from family obligations, I don't really see them much. This year, surprisingly, a couple of months ago, my mom asked me if I would like to accompany the two of them on a mother and daughter bonding trip to Greece. We would stay there for a week and make a proper vacation out of it. I was quite excited about it, I'm not going to lie, because after years of being ignored by her, it felt gratifying to finally be noticed. I thought she was finally seeing me as her daughter, so I agreed without thinking about it too much. That was probably a mistake, because soon enough they were making me do all the heavy lifting for the trip. They told me that they only trusted me for the planning, so I booked everything, and of course all the money came out of my pocket. They told me that they would pay me back later on, and I believed them. And then a few days ago we flew to Greece. But after spending maybe 2 days with them, I realized what was happening. They were making me pay for pretty much everything, and they kept reassuring me that they were going to pay me back later. This was just to keep things convenient, because it would be a hassle for them to take out their cards or the cash, time and time again. So they made it seem like it would be better for just one person to handle all the expenses for now, and later on, I would be reimbursed for everything. I caught on pretty quickly, and I realized that they actually had no intention of paying me back at all. And I got that from their behavior as well, that they didn't actually want me around. They just wanted a cash cow to milk for this trip. They did not make any effort to include me in their conversations or in the activities while we were in Greece, and once again, I was left out of their team. They made it pretty obvious to me that I was just here to pay for their vacation and nothing else. So I started resenting them. I even confronted them about it, but they denied everything and told me that I was being paranoid and illogical. That was the night that I decided to take off by myself. I checked out of the hotel and hopped onto a flight and came back home as soon as I could without telling them, and they didn't even bother to text me until I was gone already. Just as I had expected, after they realized that I was gone, they started texting me and trying to call me, but I didn't see any of that until I had landed back home. They were just panicking about the fact that now they wouldn't be able to afford the rest of their vacation, because apparently it was my fault for making the most expensive reservations. And they said that I had abandoned them without the means to cover the expenses on their own. And now I had to do something about this problem. But in all honesty, I don't feel particularly responsible for any of this. And I don't think that I abandoned them. I just think I realized that I was not welcome there and I left. So, am I an a-hole for leaving a vacation and coming back home because I felt excluded? Edit. They are complaining about the lack of money because they said that I'm backing out and making things unfair for them by not contributing to the financial aspect of the trip. Apparently, they had planned on splitting the cost of everything 3 ways, but now that it's just the two of them, everything is a lot more expensive. It's just an excuse for them to try and get money out of me. I know that my sister started working earlier this year, so she doesn't exactly have a lot of money saved up, and my mother has not worked a day in her life. She has always relied on my dad for money, and even now she's living off of whatever my dad left her. So I guess I can understand why they wanted me to finance the trip, because I make the most money out of all three of us, and that's why they wanted me to come along. It's all very clear now. So I get their intentions, and it's not like they literally do not have any money and they are broke or anything. They do have cash on them. They have their cards, so they can use that to pay for whatever they need to. But they are just trying to make me feel guilty. And I don't know. I feel weird. I haven't exactly behaved like this ever, and it feels strange to be treating the two of them like this. But I don't know what else I could have done in a situation like that when I was clearly being used for my money. And it's not like I make a lot of money either. I just happen to make more than both of them. So I'll definitely need them to reimburse me for everything that I have spent so far. But right now, given the situation, I don't know if that's going to happen. Both of them are still pretty upset. They're still trying to get me to pay up, but I don't think I'll do that update one. So they have finally come back. I found out because they landed and came straight to my house from the airport. I guess I blocked them a couple of days ago, right after I posted here, because I just did not want to have any sort of interaction with them. I was not going to give them any money anymore. I had already spent a lot of it on them, and it had turned out to be a complete waste. So I was not risking anything else, and I would need that money back too. So I was mentally prepared to fight with them, but I was not prepared to see them so soon. Because today, I was literally woken up by the sound of the doorbell ringing like crazy. When I looked out and saw them, I opened it, and I told them instantly that I was not interested in fighting with them and explaining myself, but I just wanted my money back. Before they could even say anything to pick a fight with me, I told them that I knew for a fact that they had only wanted me along on the trip to use me as a cash cow, and I had been foolish enough to go ahead with it, thinking that maybe my mother had to finally see me as her daughter. But clearly that was not happening. And since they had already made a fool out of me, the best thing that they could do right now was leave me alone after returning whatever money I had spent, and then we would be done. After I was done speaking, my sister started screaming in my face, telling me that I was crazy, and I was just being insecure, and that I had no right to abandon them like that. Especially when I know that both of them are not that financially well off yet, not enough to afford a trip like the one that I had planned. She told me it was insanely selfish of me, and said that they were not going to return any sort of money, because after I left, they had to pay off everything on their own, and they had to spend a lot of money from their own pocket as well. So now I had to face the consequences of my actions, and know that my money was gone, and I was never getting it back. I was shocked to hear her say that so openly, without any shame, and my mom was just standing there, acting as if this was all very justified. I lost it at that point of time, and I started screaming at them, telling them that they had no right to treat me like this. I had thought that maybe we were finally going to get an opportunity to bond, but they made a fool out of me, and now they didn't even have the decency to feel ashamed of it. Instead, they were acting as if they were entitled to my money, and I was the crazy one for not funding their trip, while they made me feel excluded the entire time, refused to acknowledge it, and tried to gaslight me into believing that I was being paranoid. It was wrong on so many levels, and so unfair, that I just couldn't help but scream in their faces. Usually, I'm not a person who loses their cool so easily. So I kind of surprised myself with that as well. But I guess it was just years and years of suppressing what I had always felt, and I couldn't deal with this crap anymore. When I started pointing out their faults, my mom finally woke up, and she told me that I was not making any sense since I had planned the trip. I had a responsibility towards them, and I had done something really mean and unnecessary by abandoning them like that. So now I couldn't in good conscience expect them to return the money. She told me that I was being selfish, and that money isn't everything. This is a pretty interesting take to hear from somebody who had been after nothing apart from my money for the past couple of days. And I said that to her, so that she obviously played the disrespect card, saying that she was my mother, and I could not speak to her like that, which is crazy because she was standing on my porch and expected me to deal with her nonsense without a word. I got so worked up that I realized if I continued to speak to them, I would end up losing my temper even worse, and I did not want that to happen. So I just slammed the door shut in their faces. The two of them continued to stand outside and scream and holler for a couple of minutes, but after that they left. I was honestly just glad that they were gone. And now I have made up my mind that the next time they show up, I'm just going to call the cops instead of engaging with them, because they are so self-centered, delusional, and entitled that they don't even think there is anything wrong with what they are demanding. They think that they are perfectly justified in everything that they do. And it's infuriating to talk to them. I don't need this. I just don't need to talk to them at all. But I don't need that money back. And I'm going to make sure that I get it by hook or by crook. Update 2. Hi. So, it's been a few days since my last interaction with my mom and my sister. And since then, I've been thinking of a way to get them to return all the money that they had taken from me for the trip. They had promised me that they would reimburse me, but the problem was it had been a verbal agreement. I don't really have any proof of it. They had spoken to me on phone calls, and of course, like a normal person, I don't really record phone calls without any reason. So I don't have any evidence that they had promised me this. But otherwise, I swear I would have dragged them to court by now. Anyway, since I can't do that, I've had to think of other ways to get them to cough up the money. I have spoken to a couple of friends about it. And they told me that the best way to go about it would be to just expose them on social media. And I think it's a pretty good idea because, as far as I know, my mom and my sister are pretty concerned about how they are perceived by everyone. So they would hate it if they came off as people who don't clear their debts or whatever. The only problem is that to do this, it would mean having to air dirty laundry in public. And I'm not really a fan of that. Like every other family, it's pretty clear that even my family has had its fair share of problems. But I've never gone ahead and discussed it publicly. So that's what I'm really concerned about. I don't want to do anything that I will regret later. I've been thinking about it, considering it carefully, and honestly, while I don't feel good about doing it, I can't see any other way to go about this. I've been very confused about it for the past couple of days, and I've been going back and forth on this idea. I'm pretty sure that my mom and my sister think that nothing is going to happen and that they are going to get away with it. And that is what infuriates me even more. So I guess I'll give it a couple of more days. And if by then I can't come up with any other idea, then I'll probably go ahead and expose them on social media because I really can't think of anything else. If you guys have any other ideas, please let me know in the comments. Heaven knows I could do with some right now. But please don't suggest talking to them or whatever. There is no point in doing that. I know them, and I know that it's as good as talking to a wall. They are just not the kind of people who can be spoken to and expected to understand. Update 3. Okay, so I did it last evening. I finally posted about everything that had happened. Not just what had happened recently, but also about how they had treated me my entire life. I guess once I started typing, I just could not bring myself to stop. And once I started speaking about it, I couldn't help but cry because it was just so hurtful. This is my family. These people are related to me by blood. They are the ones supposed to be looking out for me, but clearly not. It wasn't like I was very happy doing it, but it had to be done. And within a few hours of me posting it, a bunch of my relatives had started to text me, telling me that they were by my side, that they were going to try and speak to my mom and my sister, that the two of them had no right to treat me like this, and that they felt bad for me and stuff like that. To be honest, I have no idea how much of that was genuine and how many people were just trying to gossip with me. But it felt nice to have people by my side. So far, I guess people had known, and they had noticed that my mom and my sister had always been a team. But it had never been acknowledged by the family. It was just one of those things that everyone knew about, but nobody really spoke about it. And now it's all out in the open. A lot of people said that this was really unprecedented, that nobody had expected them to act like this. And they were surprised that I had been pushed to the brink to the extent where I felt like I had to post about it, because otherwise I would never be heard. And that's true. I guess they did push me too far this time, which is why I had to go ahead and post about it otherwise. I just can't think of any other way I would have been able to get my money back. They did not respond to it immediately, and they couldn't have responded to me directly because they are still blocked. But a couple of hours later, I guess when enough time had passed, they decided to make a post of their own, and they tried to pin the whole blame on me. They said that I was the one who had been insecure all along, and that they had never been a team or whatever. They just happened to get along well with each other, but I had never made an effort to get along with them, and I had always decided more with my father. And now that he was gone, I hardly even spoke to them. And while that was partially true, it was not my fault. It was not like I had not tried to get along with them in the past, but I had always been rejected by the two of them. It was always the two of them and me on the sidelines. And that's why I did not speak to them much in the past. Especially after my dad passed away, because I did not want to feel the way I used to as a child. This time when I did give them a chance, they behaved the same way that they used to when I was a kid. Made me feel very excluded, and it was like I was just back in middle school, or kindergarten or whatever. And as a grown woman, I don't need to make myself feel like that just to make it seem like I get along with my family. If I don't, I just don't. And it's not like they care about it. People can believe that I'm making this up and trying to be the victim here, but I know what I'm talking about. When we were kids, it was always my fault. I was always the one who got grounded. I was always the one who got punished for things that my sister did. And it was always my mom dishing it out to me, but never to my sister, even if it was clearly her fault. My dad tried to take my side, but when he was not around, like when he was at work or away on business trips or whatever, I would suffer the most because of the two of them. As I grew older, this whole getting grounded and getting punished business subsided a little. But that still did not mean that they treated me well. They would make it a point to exclude me from shopping trips, go out on their own, and leave me at home without even telling me. And just make it a point to show that it was the two of them, and I was not a part of whatever this exclusive little club was. It obviously bothered me no matter how much I tried not to let it show. And it still does. After all, they are my family, and you don't expect stuff like this from your family. Unless, well, your family is like mine, then I guess you should learn to expect it. And it was my bad for expecting any better from them on the trip. Anyway, in that post, they had basically just denied everything, saying that they had treated me perfectly well and had tried to include me, but I was the one who had been shut off and aloof. And then after I had abandoned them, they felt offended, and that's why they refused to pay me back. And never had they ever imagined that I would take this public and be so petty about it, especially when I had instigated the whole fight. It was infuriating, but I knew that unblocking them and trying to fight with them was not going to help me right now, so I just refrained from saying anything at all. Instead, I decided to reach out to all of the relatives who had texted me earlier, and I told them that everything that my mom and my sister had put up in their post was nothing but a lie, and they knew that whatever I had said was true. Because I was not the kind of person to go out of my way to pick fights with people. Especially when it would require me to air out dirty laundry. I figured that I would be better off reaching out to people personally, because, honestly, putting up posts consistently and then turning this into a whole social media war was not going to get me anywhere. And I did not want to do that. I did not want the attention. I just wanted my money back, and I wanted my relatives to shame my mom and my sister into returning it all to me. That was what my goal was, and it might be petty, but I didn't care about it at this point in time. And, of course, most of the relatives responded to me saying that they did not believe a word of whatever my mom and my sister had posted, because they knew me and they trusted me. They responded to me and said that they were definitely trying their best. They were going to talk to my mom and sister, and they were going to try and get them to give me my money back, because this was absolutely unfair. And that was kind of nice to hear. Because now, even if I don't get my money back, at least I'll have the satisfaction of knowing that I tried my best, and I will know for a fact that they will be ostracized from the family. Like I had said earlier, I know that my mom and sister value their reputation a lot. They care a lot about appearances and put a lot of store into it, so I'm pretty sure that they will not like what is happening right now. And sooner or later they are going to crack, and just to try and make it seem like they are the bigger people here. They are going to return the money to me just to put me down, belittle me, and make me look petty. They might return the money to me, and honestly, I don't care for what reasons they do it. I just want it back. I think that's fair enough. So, I just hope that they come to that conclusion quickly, and don't try to drag this out further. As soon as that is done, I will take down my post, because honestly, I don't want anything to do with them up on my social media feed. If I could, I would not even be related to them. But that's beyond my control, so I'll have to deal with it, I guess. Update 4. So, it has been 3 days since I made that post, and they responded to it the same day. But things haven't made a lot of progress. I had thought that maybe by now they would have given in to the pressure from the rest of the family and returned the money to me. But so far that has not happened. They have reached out to me though, since I had blocked them earlier. They couldn't message me or call me. So, they decided to use a burner phone to leave me a message last evening. I didn't see it until this morning, because I didn't check my phone. In the message they had sent, they were really disappointed that I had chosen to go public with this and embarrass our entire family like that, and they told me that my dad would be ashamed of me if he was still around. They accused me of lying about them, and once again, they tried to tell me that they had treated me perfectly fine, and I was just oversensitive. I don't know why they keep saying that. It's not like their opinion is going to change my experience. They might think that I'm being oversensitive, but I think that they have always been insensitive towards me, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, in the message, they also said that they would have thrown the money in my face if they had been able to, and would have put an end to this whole situation. But unfortunately, they don't have that sort of money on them right now. So, I'm going to have to wait it out, whether I like it or not. I'm pretty sure that they are lying because my mom doesn't really spend a lot. So, if she and my sister put together their money, it's going to be a bit of a problem for them. But they will definitely be able to pay me back. It's nothing they can't recover from in the next few months, but they just don't want to part with their money right now. Well, whatever. The longer they make me wait, the longer that post stays up, and the longer they have to be embarrassed and ashamed of themselves, because I'm pretty sure that most of the family is on my side on this. Apart from a few people who are very close to my mom and think that she is the one who is in that right here. But that's them being purely biased, nothing else. At this point, I'm pretty sure that no matter when they return the money to me, they have lost all respect from the rest of the family. And I think it's a perfect punishment for them. I would say that I feel bad for them. But honestly, I think they deserve this. Especially after everything that they put me through for so long. Update 5. Hi. So, it has been 2 weeks now since I made that post. And finally, I got my money back. I got my money back 2 days ago. My sister showed up at my house with a check, and I was pretty happy to see her for the first time. Obviously, I did not invite her in or whatever. I just took the check from her, and she told me that she hoped that I was happy now since I have pretty much managed to get everyone to stop speaking to them apart from a handful of people. She told me that our mother was miserable, and they had had a lot of trouble putting this amount of money together. But now since I have it, she expects me to take that post down instead of being so petty and disgusting as I have been so far. She was about to see a lot more. But as soon as I was done taking that check from her, I slammed the door in her face again. This time, instead of cursing at me from the outside, she decided to kick the door a couple of times out of anger, and then she left. Honestly, it was not worth the trouble to call the cops for that. So, I just let her go. But I did get pretty upset when I heard her kicking the door. She had no right to do that. Anyway, I'm just glad that I don't have to engage with them ever again. At least not anytime soon. I'm done with them, and I'm really happy that I decided to stand up for myself and get my money back. No matter what it took, I did take the post down after I received the check, like I had decided I would do. But it doesn't matter because now everyone already knows what has happened. The post being gone is not going to erase people's memories, and I hope that they learn a lesson and don't try to mess with me anymore in the future after this. Not the a-hole at all. They didn't invite OP on a bonding trip. They invited OP as a walking credit card. The second they made OP plan everything, pay for everything, excluded OP from conversations, and then tried to gaslight OP when you called it out. The whole, we just wanted to reconnect. Mask slipped. Them screaming at OP's door that she abandoned them is wild. They're grown adults who chose to travel. They can pay for their own fun. Actions have consequences, and the consequence of using OP as a cash cow is that the ATM finally shut down, and now let's hear community's opinion. Though we plan to split it 3 ways line is so obviously something they made up after the fact. If that were true, they would have insisted on paying their share up front, or at least occasionally. Not shoved every bill at you and told you to just put it on your card. And the worst part isn't even the money. It's the lifetime pattern of them making you the outsider while being this tight little mother-golden child duo. You didn't abandon them. You removed yourself from a situation where you were being emotionally and financially exploited. Not the a-hole. And honestly, I'm glad you got your money back. Posting on social media was petty, but it was appropriate petty. You had no legal proof, no recorded agreement, and they were fully prepared to screw you over and then smear you as crazy and insecure to anyone who would listen. The only leverage you had was their precious reputation, and you used it. They could pay you back. They just didn't want to until the threat of social fallout became real. Now they're mad that their favorite tool, shame, finally got used on them instead of on you. Not the a-hole. Keep them blocked, cash that check, and enjoy your peace. I think the saddest part of this whole story is that you were genuinely excited because you thought your mom was finally seeing you as her daughter, and she was only seeing you as her financier. That's brutal. But you did something huge here. You showed them that you're no longer a convenient little doormat. They can guilt and gaslight into paying for their lifestyle. They can whine about how Dad would be ashamed all they want. But I'd bet good money he'd be more ashamed of them using his daughter than of you finally standing up for yourself. You are absolutely not the a-hole, and I hope this is the beginning of you building a life where they don't get access to your wallet or your self-esteem anymore.